my name is Amanda Crawford, and I'm just going to be talking to you about fountain pens. Kind of start out with how my collection even started. I, when I first got my very first calligraphy pen, I didn't even know that there was a network out there of fountain pens, that other people that they enjoyed the essence of writing with a fountain pen or a calligraphy pen like I did. And when I first started, I didn't know anybody that had a fountain pen, or even did reviews or tutorials, anything. I didn't know. And my actual very first pen I bought from Hobby Lobby. I bought a calligraphy pen there. I believe it was like $8 or something, and it was by Manuscript, and it came with a couple interchangeable nibs. It also came with a package of cartridges, and so I didn't know that there were converters. I didn't even know that you could go online and you could order an actual fountain pen, something that was durable and reliable and would last as long as you took care of it. I didn't know any of that. And it was about 2 years ago actually, that I got my very first fountain pen. And I got the Lamy Safari. I'll show it to you. This was my very first fountain pen. And I remember getting it in the mail, and I was so excited. One, because I hardly ever ordered anything online, and so I remember the anticipation of tracking my package and making sure that I got to the post office and going and picking up and being so excited to take it out of the box and to pop that cartridge in and just to be able to write with it. And I used it off and on. I didn't use it for everything. I didn't use it every day. But the more that I used it, the more I loved it. And it was actually last Christmas, that Christmas of 2013, that I decided, you know what, I'm going to get serious about fountain pens. Because at that time, since I ordered it online, I had seen that there were tons of different fountain pens, and it was kind of overwhelming because there were like so many companies that made fountain pens. There's so many names. And of course, now that I've built up my collection and I've watched different reviews, I've watched tutorials, there's just a world out there. I learned which ones were the more reliable pens, which ones were great for beginners, intermediate, and then of course you have your vintage pens and collector's pens, limited editions. Just there's so many out there, and which pens you've got, like your regular, what I would say, your regular nibs, going from your extra fine all the way to the broad. But then you also have your, the flex pens, and you have your music nibs. And then, of course, like your vintage pens, they have their own flex too. So, I mean, there's so many different things that, again, went 2 years ago when I got my very first fountain pen. I didn't know any of that had existed. I didn't know that I could order a cartridge converter for my Lamys and actually buy ink and fill my own pens, and the experience that you get from it. And it's been amazing. And every pen that I have, I still, I track the package and I get so excited. Some I get more excited for, especially my Mont Blanc and then my Sailor Pro Gear. Oh my goodness, I squealed like a little schoolgirl. I was like, oh my goodness. And of course my husband thought I was crazy, but that's okay. I think he's crazy when he gets all excited about his golf scores or, but the one thing that really helped me was getting to watch people that have had fountain pens for several years and know what they're talking about. And it was a learning experience for me. Some things I had to learn the hard way. And it wasn't till after I watched some reviews that I was like, I probably should have watched that before I tried it, because I did ruin a couple of pens. Thankfully, they were cheap pens. I mean, they're good quality, they are, but they weren't as expensive. So it wasn't like, oh my goodness, the two pens that I had ruined were Jinhao's, the 250s that I had gotten a set of four of them. And again, knowing nothing about fountain pens, I didn't know that, if you have an actual dip pen, that India ink that you can get for them, you're not supposed to use it in fountain pens. And so it was a beginner's mistake, and I felt so horrible about it because I don't like, to ruin pens. Um, I tried to take really good care of my stuff, make sure I have a case that I keep my pens that I'm not using. And then I have my roller bag, and then my Mont Blanc I keep in its actual case that it came in. But I'm very particular about that one. I think it's that one and my Sailor, hands down, my favorite pens. But both of them, they're just, I love them. But anyways, that's pretty much like how I started. I got that very first calligraphy pen about 7 years ago. And then 2 years ago, I got my Lamy Safari. And from then on, my collection just kind of took off. I do like the fact that there's disposable fountain pens, especially when you work in an office and you work with people, or if you're really busy, you don't want to take your collectors, if you're always up and down, or, even people, it's fun because using fountain pens, that's all I have on me. That's all I carry. And people will ask, hey, do you have a pen? And they'll kind of look at it and they don't know how to use it. Most of the time, I'll show you they'll want to write with it upside down. I'm like, no, you need to turn it over. And I was joking with one of our buddies. He constantly forgets a pen. And so he asked me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have you and my husband, Ryan, I'm going to give you guys a class. That way you learn how to write with a fountain pen. So every time you ask to borrow one, you're not going to ruin it, or, won't know how to write with it. But there is a world of knowledge out there. And, it really helped me. It helped me to look and ask questions, or, type in questions, because there's somebody out there that they have gone through the very same thing that you have with the fountain pen. They want to know about the inks. They want to know about the paper. That's another thing too. Now that I know about converters and cleaning, your pens, taking care of your pens, now it's like I had to put myself on a budget and say, you know what? No more fountain pens this year. Because I did. I went from having 5 pens to over the summer now having over 40 pens. And so it's something that I love, the experience. I know next year I would like to be able to actually have pen pals and be able to write letters back and forth. And that is, it's a huge community. I think it's a lost art. And then really it's sad, because we've gotten so caught up with technology, and we've gotten so caught up with the convenience of, Facebook and cell phones and Instagram and, even YouTube. But it is something, I would love to be able to learn how other people started with fountain pens and what they have in their collection and what's their favorite pen, what's their favorite ink, what's their favorite like everyday paper, and what's their favorite, nice stationery paper and who they get it from, who they order from, just different things like that. Because I don't have anybody that I can sit down and actually have a conversation about fountain pens or any of that. And, you know, that's part of where I like the part of, um, our technology, where that gives me a way to learn and to talk to people that have the same love and same passion and obsession that I have for fountain pens. Um, Again, like the writing experience, just to be able to write a line of script in with a fountain pen, the way the ink flows across the paper, it's invigorating. It is, and I know I probably sound crazy, but if you have that obsession too, you probably know what I'm talking about. Just kind of wanted to share with you. If you liked it, please comment down below. If you would like to become pen pals, I'm more than interested. And so just hit me up below. And thanks. Have a good day.